Hello and welcome back. I keep wanting to say it's been a while, but I have a feeling for you it hasn't actually been that long. But for me, it's been over a month since I last filmed, which feels really weird because I feel like there's all of this pressure on the video that broke the drought to be a really good one, and I'm hopping on camera today to say I'm not doing Nanowrimo, which isn't the great triumphant news I would love to be sharing after a break. So if you're new here and have no idea who I am or what I'm talking about, my name is Jackie. I'm an aspiring writer, and until, 2-3 weeks ago, I had planned to do Nanowrimo this year. And in fact, Nanowrimo was going to be like the saving grace for my 2020, because when I started this year, my writing goals were to do 2 new drafts and to revise my Nanowrimo draft from last year, Powerless. Now, I did revise Powerless. I actually got feedback from all of my beta readers at the end of September, beginning of October, so that's really exciting, and there will be a video about that coming if I can ever get through all of the feedback, because the reason I am not doing Nanowrimo is because I've been hit with a ton of freelance work and I don't have any time. For context, I work full-time. I don't actively look for freelance work. I used to have a business until September 2019, and I then handed it over to someone else, so it's currently running under new management. And since then, I think I've edited 3 blog posts for an old client. So freelance work has never really been a problem in terms of time management and trying to get writing done. This all changed at the beginning of September when one of my past writing and publishing clients contacted me saying that he wanted to launch an online course portal in October, and could I write 2 new courses for him as part of the launch. So I said yes. I greatly underestimated the level of work that would be involved, and it turned out those 2 courses were about 40,000 words in the end. So that is a fair bit of content, and admittedly some of it I was able to recycle from work we'd done together in the past, but even going through the old content took a while. Even when I didn't make that many changes, it was surprising how long it took me, and I think part of it is that it had been a couple of years since I'd looked at it, because we last worked together in 2018, but also part of it was that I realized I didn't want to be doing this anymore. So that was a good thing, because it affirms that yes, selling the business last year was the right decision. I do want to write. But it's also a bad thing because I still had this commitment that I'd made to get this work done. So that took 4 or 5 weeks, I think. I think I spent 3 weeks on the first course and 2 on the second. So I finished that like a week and a half ago, and I'm realizing all of these timestamps mean nothing for you because this video might not come out for another week or so. So I finished that around, I'm going to say the 7th of October. Then I had another freelance project come in, and this is one that I knew was coming at some point. This was a former client from my old business, Grammar Factory, which self-publishes non-fiction books for entrepreneurs, and we do very hands-on aggressive editing as part of that, because most of our clients aren't writers, and we also do ghostwriting. And this client is one who had been part of the ecosystem, I guess, since 2016, when she and I did a workshop to map out her whole book before she started writing. She had her first round of edits in March 2018, and for various reasons we pretty much had to scrap that draft and she started again. So we had a couple of dates when this draft was supposed to be coming up to be edited over the past 2.5 years, and when it came to the time that I was selling the business last year, her editor had decided to leave the business at the same time. So I said, look, since we've got a relationship and I've worked with you, I will take on your book to smooth the transition. And then in October, it came up and was ready for editing. So I've been working on that basically since the beginning of the month when it came through. And when I received it, that was a 52,000 word draft. Unfortunately, I realized it wasn't a completed draft, and she's actually subscribed to this channel, so hello if you're watching, I won't mention your name. But she had added a ton of research and examples to this book, but there were areas where she hadn't actually created the discussion around those topics. So it was just bullet points that still needed to be filled in, followed by a couple of examples that she'd added in. So I looked at this and realized that either she was going to have to do a lot more work before the next round of edits, because this wasn't a complete book, and what I sent back to her, like, I couldn't edit it as a complete book because the content wasn't there. So either she was going to have to add all of that in, or I also said I could ghostwrite it for her. And at the time of recording this video, I'm actually in like ghostwriting and editing limbo because the company is not mine anymore, so I can't give her a quote for how much this will cost. I know what my rate is, but I don't know the margin that the new business owner charges, so I'm waiting for him to get back to me so I can get back to her so she can see what the price is, and then she can let me know whether I should ghostwrite the book or edit it. And now I'm in the awkward position where I don't know whether to continue just doing an edit and leave out the bits that will need to get written, or what I really want to do is just start writing the bits that need writing. Anyway, what does this all have to do with Nanowrimo? Well, as I mentioned, I work full-time, and these projects have not been a full-time job, but they've been very time-consuming. I've worked every single weekend since I started them. Some days I've been getting up and working on them at 6 a.m. until 8 a.m. when I leave for the office. Sometimes I've been doing a little bit of work in the evenings, usually like doing proper academic formatting for references and so on. So it's been time consuming, and I realized in the second half of September that I actually couldn't continue prepping for Nanowrimo at the same time. And that was really disappointing. It was like a punch in the gut, to be completely honest, because I made this commitment to myself that I was going to be a writer, and I sold my business that I've been working on for 6.5 years because I wanted to be a writer and I wanted to write and improve my skills. And this year has not been the most successful year for my writing. If you've been following me, you'll know that my Camp Nano project in April, I ran into a brick wall. Basically, it ran into the interview process for my current job, and again, it was just too much at the same time. So, and it was also a very challenging book, so I ended up stopping that at about 32,000 words. And then I focused on my revisions for the next camp, and my plan was that this Nanowrimo, I would write another draft and I'd have another book on the burners that I could return to and edit and revise. And I wanted to be in this position where I was either writing something or revising something or editing something, and I always had something on the go, and this was part of building up that pipeline. And now that's not going to happen, or at least if it does happen, it's not going to happen in Nanowrimo, because one thing is I have this process, which if you watch the video about me doing the premise exercises in the Anatomy of Story, you'll know I have this process where I have 3 different book ideas and I use 3 different plotting methods to plot each of them out. And I did that weeks ago. I did that over a month ago actually, and I still haven't finished step 2 because I haven't had the time. And I've realized that I'm probably not going to get through that between now and November. And I mean, I might if it's just an edit, in which case I'm hoping I can wrap it up in the next week. But if it's a ghostwrite, I'm not going to be able to. And even if I could get to the end of the Anatomy of Story, I wouldn't be able to look at any other plotting methods. And admittedly, that's just the process I go through. And could I start writing a draft if I only did the Anatomy of Story and didn't worry about the other 2 methods? Yes. Could I start a draft without having completed any plotting methods? Yes. Do I want to? Not really. Because even when I've outlined, it's a bit touch and go whether I can get a draft done. So I would like to have put some thought into it before November starts. And beyond that though, there's only so much I can do. And something has to give. And at the moment, I wish it wasn't writing. I wish I could quit my job, but the truth is I like my job. I don't want to quit my job, but I wish I could take 3 months off my job. Or I wish I could throw out these freelance projects. But the job, not really an option right now. The projects, I agreed to do them. Like, I gave my word and I don't want to back down from that. And ultimately, even though it's messing with my plan to do Nanowrimo again, the freelance projects are a temporary thing. One of them's already done, even though he's made some noises about doing some more work. So I told him not until December at the earliest. But one of the projects is done. One of them, if it's an edit, it will hopefully be done in the next week or so. And if it's a ghostwrite, then we've already discussed that the deadline will be open-ended. So rather than, working full days on the weekends, maybe I could work one day on the weekend and get through it, which would be more sustainable. And because it's temporary, once it's done, I can get back to writing. I can start writing a new draft. I can look at the beta reader feedback for my book. In fact, I didn't mention, I haven't even had a chance to go through all of the beta reader feedback for my book. So 3 of the readers, I spoke to 2 of them because it was before these projects hit. And one of them was an editor who looked at the first 25 pages, and I've sort of skimmed through her critique that she did. I haven't been through the book document though. But the other one, her feedback came in at the beginning of October, and I just haven't had a chance to look, and I really want to look because she's the most experienced writer and editor that I've got looking at this, and I haven't had time. And I feel really bad because these people all took time out of their lives to look at my book, and now I don't have time to go through their feedback. And I'm also supposed to be beta reading for one of my authortube friends, and I've started, but yeah, there's only so much I can do. And it's easy to say, cut out the things that aren't important, but it's all important. It might not all be important to me, but it's all important to other people. My job is important to the 75 people who work for the company and the 150,000, 200,000 people who use their products. And I really like the organization, and I think they're doing cool things. So obviously I want to keep doing that. And because of that job, I'm allowed to legally live in Europe, where I am at the moment, which is a much better place to be in 2020 than Australia. And the freelance projects, they might not be important to me, but they are important to my clients. One of my clients launched an online course portal, which is really cool. He's taking his consulting business digital, which is amazing. The other client, she's got this amazing knowledge to share, and she's been working on this book for 4 years now, if we go back to that first workshop we had. So this book is really important, and it needs to get out into the world. It's, been long enough for both of us. And the other things are important to me. My writing's important to me. Going back to Powerless is important to me, and it's something I really want to do after, I saw some of the feedback in the emails that sent the full feedback through. And writing a new book is important to me because I want to do this seriously. I don't know if I'll ever be able to write fiction for a living, but I would like to do it consistently. I would like to be published. I would like to improve my craft. And that doesn't happen if you do NaNoWriMo 1 year and then never write anything ever again. So what is the plan from here? Well, the first big variable is obviously this freelance project. Hopefully I can confirm in the next 24 hours if it's a ghostwrite or if it's an edit, and then I can plan the rest of my life, or I can plan the rest of my year. Regardless, NaNoWriMo is probably not going to happen. I say probably because I might be hit with a lightning bolt of inspiration in mid-November and decide to just pants it, but probably not going to happen. So instead, I'm going to continue doing the anatomy of story because I do think it's a good method. I do think it's forcing me to think about writing in a different way, and I like that it's forcing me to think about writing more deeply and not get so focused on plot, which I have a tendency to do. I might continue with the other plotting methods I had in mind, or I might not. I'll see how I feel when I get to the end of Anatomy of Story. The other thing is I want to look at my beta reader feedback for Powerless. I might not address it immediately, but I would like to consolidate all of it and see what the common threads were and what my beta readers disagreed about. And I also want to complete my own beta read for Nicole Wilbur, my authortube friend I mentioned earlier. So that's it, and that's why you shouldn't not film for a month, because then your audience gets this verbal diarrhea. If you are doing NaNoWriMo, best of luck. I had an awesome experience last year. It was my first time doing it and I was very proud to hit my 50,000 words, and it was really good motivation to start working on my first new project in over a decade. So again, if you're doing it, good luck. I hope you hit your 50,000 words, but even if you don't, I hope you learn something from the experience and have an awesome time and start building exciting new worlds and characters and stories. So please let me know if you are doing Nano in the comments. Let me know what your project is and what you're most excited about or scared of. Other than that, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the ramble, and I will see you next time. Bye.